from the CEC TV studios. Today we're back to the interview locker and pleased to have baseball head coach Chris Pfatenhauer joining us on the show as the Trailblazers begin work for the 2017 season. Coach, as always, thanks for being here. I know it's a busy time of year. You're getting ready to go and you squeeze in some time for us, so thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Your season opener is a little more than a week away. You're going to load up the bus and head down to San Bernardino, California for a weekend series down there. That's just next Friday. It's hard to believe that the spring sports is here. That kind of snuck up on me, but probably not on you and your staff. As coaches and players, you're probably chomping at the bit to get back there on the field.
Yeah, we can't wait. You know, we've played ourselves so many times, and we need somebody else in the other dugout, and certainly excited to get on that bus Thursday and get this thing rolling.
Last year, you qualified for your 5th consecutive West Regional appearance. You had a 2nd place finish in the Pac West. To go with that, of course, you always want to get that 1st place finish, and that's why you can look forward to the next year every year. But take us through the off season from that point. Maybe a little bit on your recruiting. Who are some new recruits you have coming in? What have you been able to do to ensure that you can get back to the NCAA regionals again?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously recruiting's the key. You know, bringing in the right players and a talented group, and our coaching staff did a nice job with that. And we didn't have to replace a lot. You know, we only had, I think, 6 or 7 seniors last year, and you know, position player-wise, Tanner Marash and Sam Hall were key losses, big ones, but only a couple spots to really replace. So feel like we did that. You know, Tyler Baker is going to step in and play shortstop for us. He was with us last year, but had to redshirt since he had transferred in. And you know, position-wise, we had another transfer from out of Oklahoma, Logan Porter, who's a catcher, first baseman, designated hitter type guy, who I think is going to hit in the middle of our order and produce a lot. On the mound, a couple left-handers that are really going to be big keys for us. Matt Mosca, who came from Mesa Community College, and Brad Dan Sizen, who came from Cochise. Those are kind of the key transfers. We got a lot of new guys. We got guys that we really like and are going to contribute and be big factors for us in the future, but those are some guys that are going to help right away.
Of course, you know, some people, some coaches, players, fans like to say there really is no off-season. Sure, you're not out there on the field playing somebody all the time, but you know, a lot of it's on the players to have that work ethic to get out there and to do their individual workouts during the summer and to be back ready for camp. And how much emphasis do you place on that as one season in and you go into the off season and get ready for another one?
Yeah, we put a lot. You know, we have a lot of guys go play summer ball. We're one of the few sports that have that. We actually have college summer ball all over the country. We had 13 of our guys out playing last summer. We really encourage that unless summer school is something that is paramount, if they've got to get that done to be eligible, or sometimes work, you know, as a priority in a family. But we like our guys to get out and play summer ball, have that experience. We've had many guys in our program that we finish our season, they leave here 2-3 days later, head straight to summer ball, and they return straight from summer ball and don't even make a stop at home during the summer. So now we have the luxury, a lot of those kids are from Las Vegas and northern Utah and around here, so they're close to home as it is. But we think it's very important our guys are out playing all summer, with the exception of some of our arms. You know, if some of our guys throw too many innings, we'll pull them back. Or Dylan File, who threw, I think, upwards of 90 innings last year, we only wanted him to throw about 20 innings in the summer, and the program we sent him to kept him at 21, which we were really happy about. But we think it's really important, certainly in our sport with some NCAA regulations and guidelines, we're limited in the time we can spend with our guys. So it is important that they take advantage of our cages and, you know, throwing and doing some things on their own.
A few minutes ago we talked about your recruiting trail and some of the new guys you have coming in. Let's talk about this year's team and who you have coming back, because you've got a whole lot of experience coming back with 14 seniors on the roster. How helpful is that for you as a coach to look at that roster and you know you shouldn't have to worry too much about leadership within the team because of all the experience you have coming back?
Yeah, not only the 14 seniors, but we have 23 guys in our program that have played in an NCAA regional before, whether that was for us. We've got a couple that played for other programs and have ended up here. So a lot of guys who understand the importance of the daily grind of what we do, and certainly we still have to facilitate a lot of things, but there's a certain vision for each of them of what this should end like, and they know where we are standing on that, you know, Saturday evening last year at Cal Bap when we got knocked out in the semifinal. And so there's a lot of focus in the group. We certainly do return a lot of key components to what we've done offensively and defensively. We return our whole outfield from last year. We return 3/4 of the infield. We return both catchers. Obviously Drew McLaughlin being a key guy there, who's a 3-time all-conference guy at second base. And then on the mound, we return 3/4 of our starting rotation in Dylan File, Mason Hilty, and Aaron Pope. And guys like Preston Hane, who threw a lot last year, Tyler Burdett, Walker Williams. I mean, we've got a lot of guys who have been in the heat of our conference. They know what it's like to travel in our conference. They know what the competition's like. They know what the preparation takes, and there certainly shouldn't be many surprises for them.
First official game, as we noted, isn't until next week, but this week you have your annual alumni game as part of your spring kickoff weekend. We'll talk about that game here in just a minute. I know you've got lots of good stuff planned. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the weekend and what else you have going on besides the game?
Yeah. Well, it's our 5th annual spring kickoff weekend. It's something I started when I came here, and I just thought it was really important to try and get involved with our alumni and have a function right before we kick off, really to ignite everybody and sell some season tickets and just do some different things. So we canceled our golf tournament this year because we've kind of put some focus in some other areas, but we're having our baseball dinner, our 5th annual baseball dinner on Friday evening at 7:30 in the Gardner Center. We'll recognize this year's team during that. We always have an auction, which is always really fun. We'll make it a point to honor Brandon Kinsler and Mike Littlewood, who former coach and former player from our program that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. We want to make sure to recognize them. And then on Saturday, we'll have our alumni game, which currently we have over 34 guys signed up to come, which is our biggest group. We've got guys from as far back as 1969 up to guys that played last year. So that's the funnest thing for me, and our staff and our guys, to see old teammates and see these guys come back and be a part of what we're doing now.
And it leads right into what I was going to ask about. I said we'd talk about the game. Let's talk about that alumni game now. I mean, how big is that for your program? I mean, not only do you get some live game reps for your current guys out there, but you get to you put out the invitation each year to those former players to come back and say, you're still part of this program. Mm-hmm. We very much want you here to take place in this game. What does that mean for your program to be able to do that?
For one, just the activity of the game that day is important for us because it's really our last dry run. It's our last. Baseball's a different sport. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour project before the game starts in terms of our warm up, our batting practice for both teams, infield, outfield, field prep, getting into the game. And so we like to utilize that day as kind of a final run through for that. Obviously, once the game starts, we want to be able to function on our side like we would normally function in a game. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about the enjoyment of those alumni being back, those guys talking to our players watching those guys play. And we've had guys come back and, they're throwing 90-91 against us. We've had guys in batting practice hitting balls over the trees, so that's really cool for our guys to see that. But that's been my goal. Regardless of whether people played for myself, whether they played for Mike Littlewood, whether they played for Bruce Hurst, whether they played for Coach Jolly, I mean, whoever they played for in this program, they're still part of the family. And whether it was a Rebel, whether it was a Trailblazer or a Red Storm, we want everybody in our baseball family to feel at home and feel like they're welcome back in our facility anytime.
You mentioned this as well. You must have seen the script before, before we jumped into the interview. But you've got a former Dixie State baseball player and coach being inducted into the Dixie State Athletics Hall of Fame this weekend, and Mike Littlewood and Brandon Kinsler. How big is that, and what does something like that mean for your program currently as it stands? To have that recognition for your program? It's
important. We've had the 3 guys that have made it to the big leagues, which Brandon's the 3rd, and so we retired his number 2 years ago at our dinner, and now he's being inducted. So that's really important. I think it's neat for our guys to see that and go to the ceremony and see what's possible, if you really commit to this thing, and not only your time you spend here, but then what you do with that beyond here. And Mike Littlewood, I mean, he's obviously a figurehead in our program, on this campus, in our community. I mean, he was the head coach here for 16 years, won a national championship. Mike's been invaluable to me since I took the job. I mean, from the day that I accepted the job, him coaching me up on the roster, where to go to a dentist, everything in and out of the stadium and with our program, he's been influential for me. But in terms of him being inducted in the program, it's kind of a no-brainer. That guy belongs there.
He's head coach Chris Pfatenhauer, the Dixie State baseball program. They open up next week at Cal State San Bernardino in a weekend series. There, we'll have those results for you in the coming weeks on Trailblazer Weekly, as well as on DixieAthletics.com. Coach, thanks again for stopping by. We wish you the best of luck next week.
Thanks.
It's time now to run to our next break. When we come back, we'll look ahead at the next week in Trailblazer Athletics, as well as have a player profile feature with women's basketball junior guard Gabrielle Cabanero. Don't go anywhere. There's more Trailblazer Weekly after this timeout.